जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो. Today I am going to do गोपीनाथ आमार उपाय नहीं by श्रीला भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर. श्रीला भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर की जय हो. गोपीनाथ आमारा उपाय नाही तुम्ही कृपा करी आमारे लोईले संसारे उद्धार पाई. गोपीनाथ पड़े छे मायार फेरे धनदार सूत धीरे छे आमारे कामे तेरे खेचे जे रे. ओ गोपीनाथ मन जे पागल मोरा न माने शासन सदा चेतन विषय रहे छे घोरा. ओ गोपीनाथ हारये मेने छे आमी अनेक जतन होइलो विफल एखन भरोसा तुम्ही. गोपीनाथ के मने होई बेगती प्रबल इंद्रिय वशीभूत मन न छाड़े विषय रति. ओ गोपीनाथ हृदय बसिया मोरा मन के शमिया लोहो निज पाने गुची बेबी पद घोरा. ओ गोपीनाथ अनाथ देखिया मोरे तुम्ही ऋषिकेश ऋषि कदमिया तार हे संस्कृति घोरे. ओ गोपीनाथ गलाय लेगे चे फास कृपा सिधारी बंधन छेदिया विनोदे करो हो दास. ओ गोपीनाथ आमारा उपाय नाही तुम्ही कृपा करी आमारे लोईले संसारे उद्धार पाई. ओ गोपीनाथ आमारा उपाय नाही. ओ गोपीनाथ आमारा उपाय नाही. गोपीनाथ. श्री भक्ति विनोदा ठाकुर की जय हो. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Translation. O Gopinath, I have no means of success, but if you take me having bestowed your mercy upon me, then will obtain deliverance from this world. O Gopinath, I have fallen into the pearls of material illusion. Wealth, wife, and sons have surrounded me, and lust has wasted me away. O Gopinath, my mind is crazy and does not care for any authority. It is always senseless and has remained in the dark pit of worldly affairs. O Gopinath, I have accepted my defeat. All of my various endeavors were useless. Now you are the only hope. O Gopinath, how shall I make any advancement when my mind has come under the control of the powerful senses and does not abandon its attachment to materialism. O Gopinath, after sitting down in the core of my heart and subduing my mind, please take me to you. In this way, the horrible danger of this world will disappear. O Gopinath, you are Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses. Seeing me so helpless, please control these senses of mine and deliver me from this dark and perilous worldly existence. O Gopinath, the noose of materialism has become fixed around my neck. Taking up the sword of your mercy and cutting this bondage, make this Bhaktivinoda Thakur humble servant. Hare Krishna. Now I am doing Satam Nam Aparadha. Satam Ninda Namnah. Satam Ninda Namnah Param Aparadham Vitunute Yata Khyatim Yatam Kathamo Sahate Tad Vigraham Shivasya Shri Vishnu Ye Iha Guna Namadi Sakalam Tiya Pinnam Pashet Sakhalu Harinam Hitakarah Guruvagya Shrutisastra Nindanam तथार्थवाद हरिनाम्नि कल्पनम् नाम्नो बलातस्य हि पापबुद्धि न विद्यते तस्य यमेहि शुद्धि धर्मव्रत त्याग हुतादि सर्व शुभ क्रिया साम्यम अपि प्रमादः अश्रद्धधानेव विमुखेभ्य शृण्वति यशोपदेश शिवनाम पराधः श्रुतेऽपि नाम महात्मये यः प्रीतिरहितो नरः नर अधमः अहं ममादि परमो नाम्नि सोऽप्यं परातकृत् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय हो। थैंक यू प्रभु जी फॉर सो वंडरफुल सेवा। हरे कृष्णा। दंड प्रणाम टू ऑल।
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much for the wonderful kirtan. I welcome all the devotees to the today's session, and we'll be learning about lesson 14. But before that, let us offer our prayers to the Guru Parampara. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सर्गनरघुनाथान्वितं तं त्वजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सागन ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं जेतां सुरतोपंगर्मम मंदमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्बुजो राधा मदन दिव्याद वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमः श्रीमद्रत्नांगर सिंहासन स्थितो श्रीमद रास श्रील गोविंद श्रीमद राधा श्रील गोविंद देवो पृष्ठाली सेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी बंसी भट्ट तटस्थित दर्शन वेणुस्मनेर्गोपीर गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तुनः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद Now we'll offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. Namo Mahabodhanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Ghorati Senama. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sangopang Ostra Parsadam Yagya Sankirtana Prayer Jayanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharana Kainipunam Shadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitakarinam Tribhuvana Manya Saranya Karau Radha Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Anandena Mattalikau Banderu Pasanatana Aragujugau Sri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavana, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the divine couple, Sri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jeva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat. Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. With this, let us commence today's class, that is lesson 14. But before we start lesson 14, let us have the synopsis of the last class, which was covered last weekend, that is lesson 13.
Hare Krishna, all glories to His Grace Sharat Prabhuji, all glories to His Grace Chandra Prabhuji, and all devotees online. Hari Bol. So we are going through Sri Madhurya Kadambini post, and we are through third shower of nectar now of Sri Madhurya Kadambini, written by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So yes, we had been through lesson 11, 12, and 13. Actually, lesson 11 to 16, they talk about anartha nivritti. So that is the elimination of all impediments to bhakti. So in that we have seen how there are 4 types of anarthas. There are seva and namaprad. Then in lesson 12, we have seen the first offense, that is blaspheming devotees, and third offense, that is Guru Ravagyan, that is disregarding Sri Guru. Then lesson 13, in this lesson 13, His Grace Sharat Prabhuji told about the second aparad. What is the second offense? Second namaprad is to consider the name, qualities, and so on of Shiva Tattva to be independent of Vishnu Tattva. So here Prabhuji explained the relationship of all jivas with Supreme Lord, and the different Tattva he explained. He said that in Bhagavatam, so it is mentioned that Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. So yes, it is the spice of all. That means Krishna is the source. P, that means is a proprietor. C, that he is a controller, he is Param Niyantra. he is Param Shrot, he is Param Mukta, that is enjoy, supreme enjoy. So all expansions, they do originate, they are from Lord Krishna. So Brahma and all other demigods are Jivas only, and they do look after all the departments which are assigned by Lord himself, and they are not independent. So it has been made clear by Prabhuji very well. So he also said that Shiva is not a Jiva and not Vishnu Tattva. So it's in between, and Lord Shiva fully accepts Tomo Guna for Leela purposes. Okay. So Lord Krishna in Golokdham with gopis enjoys and he allocates all the responsibilities to those he has offered Aishwarya Shakti. So this lesson 13, it talks about sentience. Okay. So here the sentient beings, there are two types, independent and dependent. The first type, that is independent sentient being, that is Sri Narayana, okay, and is beyond Maya. So the second type of independent sentient being, such as Lord Shiva, accepts the touch of Maya. Then Lord Brahma, Jiva Tattva, is invested with the potency of Supreme Lord, but is under the control of Maya. So it was the great perspective given by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that very often we do say that Sattva, Raja and Tamagur, but here he points out that Prabhuji also explained well, the mode of ignorance is superior to the mode of passion, that it was explained well. And there are two types of dependent entities, those covered by ignorance and those not covered by ignorance. Okay. So the dictionary meaning of sentience is the capacity to experience feelings and sensations. So there are two types of dependent Jiva Tattva. So one who is offered with Aishwarya Shakti. Okay. And the second one who is not offered with Aishwarya Shakti. Aishwarya Shakti was offered to like four Kumaras, Lord Brahma, we can see, and which is not offered Aishwarya Shakti. Those are like Gyanis, and they after Nirguna or Saguna Bhakti, etc. And are more preferred as compared to Gyanis. Then those jivas, which are those who are covered by ignorance, those are demigods, humans, birds, beasts, etc. So the two types of independent and all-pervading Satchit Ananda, the supreme Ishwar Tattva, is like Vishnu Tattva, which is beyond Maya, and the second is Shiva Tattva, which accepts the touch of Maya for Leela purposes. Okay. So it was very nice. It was mentioned by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and discussed the second Nama Prad and how one can protect himself from this particular offense, and how Jiv Tattva is under the control of Super Soul and is not independent. So the Super Soul is there in every Jiva, but it is the potency of the Lord that the Lord accepts this position in the heart of devotees or in the Jivas. And all these karmic reactions, what we can see, these are due to the desires of a Jiva. Then the first type of independent sentient being, that is Sri Narayana, who is beyond Maya, whereas second Tattva, that is Shiva Tattva, which accept the Maya. It was explained very well by Prabhuji. And yes, it is the independent conscious controller, that is Sri Narayana, Vishnu, all those incarnations. Those are not under the control of Maya, very explained by Prabhuji very well. It was example given by Prabhuji that so as to distinguish Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva, the very nice example it was given, it was about milk and curd. So all these ingredients of milk, they are there in the curd, but still the curd, it has got the different texture, consistency, etc. and how it has been different. So it's like the Shiva Tattva, as Prabhuji explained. Maybe I'm not able to explain it properly, but try to understand. So for Shiva Tattva, there's touch of Maya. Willingly, Lord Shiva has accepted it, and Maya is under him, and Durga Devi, his wife, and for Leela purposes, Shiva accepts the Mugun. Then for dependent Jiva, sentient beings. So actually, much in detail it was explained, but I'm just mentioning. Yes, independent entities, those which are covered by ignorance. Okay. So, not covered by ignorance, the Aishwarya Shakti, Jnana Shakti is offered, and those are like two groups, Jnani and Bhakta. And Nani, those are not praised well, but devotees, Bhakta, they are praised, and it's loud and clear. Okay. So, the Jivans, those who are dependent, are covered by Maya. They are like in Brahma Vimohan Leela, we to see Brahma, how he becomes ignorant about Lord pastimes and Leela. Then Indra, we also see in Govardhan Leela, is not well versed with the Lord's potency. So, in case of Jnani, so it is, Prabhuji said it clearly that it is a spiritual suicide. So as being a Jnani, it is a spiritual suicide because Jnanis, they do try to merge with the Jyoti, Brahma Jyoti. Okay, they want to merge within Brahma. So it was distinguished by Prabhuji. And those covered by ignorance, like demigods, human birds, beasts, that are afflicted with 5 kinds of klesha and misery, avidya, raga, asmita, etc. And the bhakta, the one who follows Bhagavad Dharma, becomes free from all kleshas and anarthas. And so that is what we are learning up to lesson 16. So today we'll see lesson 14, which will be taken up by His Grace Sharad Prabhuji, and he'll again make it more clear about Lord Shiva and his Hare Krishna. And the 4th offense.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for the nice synopsis. Now we'll pick up from where we left last time. We'll learn more about the Shiva Tattva. Things will get clearer even today. Then let us start with the first slide. Now we are on lesson 14. Now, what is the main thing which will be stressed today? The confusing position of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Many people, they think that Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, they are the same. We'll learn about this, how it is the second offense to the Nama Aparadha. We have already learned about the first and the third Aparadha. Today we'll learn about the second and the fourth Aparadha. That is blasphemy of the revealed Vedic literatures, and the fourth offense to Nama Aparadha. We'll learn in very great detail. And in this, in gist, what all is expected today in our this lesson, Jivas are Jivas liberated from ignorance. The Jnani merges with the Brahma. He merges with the Brahma Jyoti, but the Bhakta relishes the charming sweetness of Bhagavan. The devotee, he does not want to merge in the spiritual effulgence of Krishna. He wants to remain separate from Krishna and render service to him, unto him endlessly. Then the next thing we will see, the 2 types of living entities invested with the potency of Bhagavan. What are these 2 types? What are the characteristics? We will see them in detail in the next slide onwards. And although Sri Vishnu and Shiva are not different, only Sri Vishnu is to be worshipped. Like I said, the Shiva Tattva, Shiva is neither Vishnu Tattva, he is not Jiva Tattva also, but he is almost equal to Vishnu Tattva. But that does not mean he has to be worshipped like Vishnu. It is said that only Vishnu is to be worshipped. Why? Because if you worship only Vishnu, then Shiva will also be worshipped automatically. There is no requirement to worship him separately. That is what is the meaning. But we have to show respect to not only to Shiva, Brahma, but all the demigods, because they are the representatives of the Supreme Lord. They are performing various actions, various activities. They have been given various departments in the material creation for and they have got their role in that. That's why we have to show respect to them. Then the next thing, fourth thing we will see in today's class, sometimes a living entity invested with the potency of Bhagavan becomes Shiva. When a suitable person is not available, then a jiva also becomes Shiva under certain circumstances. Then what are the things, how this aparadha is to be understood, that we'll see in detail. Then the confusing position of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, the second offense to the name, that is the nama aparadha, we'll see in detail. And finally, the fourth offense to the holy name, that is blasphemy of the revealed Vedic literatures. Because all the Vedic literatures, they have originated from the Supreme Lord himself and from nowhere else. Please don't think that Vyasadeva has written all this Vedic literature like the Puranas, Vedas and all that. He has just compiled them. They were existing earlier and they have come from the Supreme Lord. And as we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, we already know that they were revealed to Brahma by Lord Krishna only. So all these things we will be discussing in very, very great detail. Now, here the first thing, we see the jivas liberated from ignorance, the jnani merges with Brahma, but the bhakta relishes the charming sweetness of Bhagavan, because the jnani, his intention is to merge with the Lord. Why this intention is there? Because he is totally troubled by this material world, by Maya, and he doesn't want to be troubled. That's why he wants to merge in the effulgence of the Brahman. But that is not liked by the bhakta, that is the devotee, because our position is Krishna Nitya Das, that is the eternal servant of Lord Krishna. And that's why a devotee always wants to remain with Krishna as his servant and serve him in whatever way he can. Now, then we go on to this slide further. Not invested with the Lord's Aishwarya Shakti. Now, as in the earlier class also we saw that some are invested with the Aishwarya Shakti, some are not invested with the Aishwarya Shakti. And what are the various types we will see. The bhakta, the devotee who relishes the sweetness of the names, forms, qualities and pastimes of Sri Bhagavan, which is laudable. Now, the devotee, he does this only. What he does, he is relishing the name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Now, what the jnani is doing, the jnani who merges with Brahma, which is deplorable, because it is said that he is getting involved in the spiritual suicide. Thereafter, his existence does not exist. He has no existence thereafter. He cannot render any service to the Supreme Lord. That's why that position is totally deplorable, because they are unable to release any of the qualities of Brahma. Now, there are two types of them. What with Nirguna Brahma or Brahma Sayujya, that is merging with the personal effulgence of the Supreme Lord, while containing no variety. It is the abode of variegated qualities, forms, and pastimes. Now the devotee is seeing that it is variegated, but the jnani is seeing that it has no variety at all. Now, then what we learn with the Saguna Brahma, Ishwar Swarupa, that means he wants to merge either with the effulgence of the Brahman or with the Supreme Lord himself. Now, this merging with the form of the Lord is even more pitiable than merging with his bodily effulgence, because he wants to lose his individuality, and that is not a good thing to do. The devotee, he wants to maintain his individuality, he wants to remain a devotee only, he wants to remain as a servant of the Supreme Lord and render whatever service he can do to the Supreme Lord. That's why it is said that the devotee is far better. And earlier also you have learned that there are very many processes like the Jnana Marga, the Ashtanga Yoga Marga, the karma, like this. But everything at the end, they have to be conjoined with bhakti only. If there is no bhakti associated with these activities, then the result is totally fruitless. One does not get anything from this. This is Brahma Sayurja, that is merging with the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. Next, we go on to the next slide. The two types of living entities invested with the potency of Bhagavan, invested with the Jnana Shakti, an aspect of transcendence such as the four Kumaras, the Lila Avataras. Now, we have also learned in the earlier class, there are devotees who are invested with the Lord's Aishwarya Shakti. Now, these are of two types. One, like the four Kumaras, Chatus Kumaras, Sanak Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara. And now, what they are invested with the Jnana Shakti. And what is the other type? The other type, they are invested with the creative potency, an aspect of Maya, such as Lord Brahma. Now, Lord Brahma has been given this responsibility to create the secondary world. The primary creation is done by the Supreme Lord himself. Then the secondary creation is done by Brahma. And for this, he has been invested with the creative potency. And that's why Brahma is a Guna Avatar. Like this, Shiva is also a Guna Avatar. Now, this is where Lord Krishna or the Lord Vishnu is there, and Lakshmi is serving his lotus feet. And these are the Chatus Kumaras. They always look like 5-year-old boys, and they never grow old. And this is the Maya Devi. Now, let us go on to the next slide. Although Sri Vishnu and Shiva are not different, only Sri Vishnu is to be worshipped. This aspect we will be seeing in very, very great detail today. They are none different in terms of tattva only, as both are Iswara Chaitanya or sentient beings. By willingly accepting the Tamaguna, the all-pervading sentient being Lord Vishnu became Shiva. Now, Lord Krishna is pure spirit, and when it is mixed with Maya, he becomes Shiva. That is the only difference. And I'll also read certain things from Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami. Things will be more clear. It says sometimes Rudra is Shiva only. Rudra is born from Brahma's forehead. That is what is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And sometimes he is born from Kamalapati, that is Lord Vishnu. And at the end of Brahma's day, the Rudra who generates all the destructive fire of time appears from Lord Sankarsana. So this is how Lord Shiva is created and what is his task. And it is said that Rudra's birth from the forehead of Brahma is described in Satapatha Brahmana and Srimad Bhagavatam, and his birth from the forehead of Lord Vishnu, the husband of Kamala, is described in Maha Upanishad and various Puranas. These descriptions are not incompatible since Rudra appears in different ways during the different kalpas, different days of Brahma. And you would have heard about Sadasiva also. It is given in the slide. Unlike Shiva, Sadasiva is transcendental to material nature. He is Vishnu Tattva. Just like Sri Vishnu, Sri Sadasiva is a special expansion of Sri Krishna himself and the origin of the Gunavatara, Shiva. And Sadasiva resides in Sadasiva Loka, above the causal ocean, that is in the spiritual world only, which is beyond Maya, while the Gunavatara Shiva resides in Mount Kailasa. Now let us see what Rupa Goswami says about Sadasiva in Laghu Bhagavatamrita. He says the form of Shiva, Sadasiva, is completely free from any trace of mode of ignorance. He is the cause of the entire creation and is personal expansion from the body of the original personality of Godhead. The Vayu Purana and the other scriptures state that he resides in Sivaloka. Now all the things are there. Rupa Goswami has drawn the following conclusion. Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Narayana and the other forms of Godhead are his Vilasa or Swamsa expansions. And there are also Jivas who become Avesa incarnations. And from the Swamsa expansion lying on the Garbha, the ocean, come Vishnu, Brahma, and Rudra, who were originally his own expansions. But the later two roles, that is Brahma and Shiva, are sometimes also played by the Jivas. This will be explained also in today's class. There are other opinions. For example, it might be said that Lord Sadasiva is the original truth and he alone deserves to be called as Swayambhu Rupa, Swayam Rupa, that Narayana and the other are his expansions and the three Gunavataras are created by him. Actually, if you see in a way, that is also correct. Now, Sri Baladev Vidyabhusana explains that these there are certain verses which are quoted from Kaivalya Upanishad. He said that they describe only Lord Narayana, the Vilasa expansion of Krishna, the original Godhead. Shiva is also a name of Narayana, and thus the two names are used interchangeably in the Mahanarayana Upanishad. And finally, Sivaloka should be understood to be the Supreme Lord's abode, Vaikuntha. Like this, there are various explanations, but there is no requirement for us to get confused. Now, please remember very simple things. Sadasiva is a Vishnu Tattva. He resides in Sadasiva Loka, which is in the spiritual world above the causal ocean. And Shiva, he stays in the material world. He is as good as Vishnu, but he is mixed with Tamoguna, or what is known as the Maya Shakti of the Supreme Lord. That is what is to be understood. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur discerns the object of worship for the unalloyed devotee based on which Nirgunatva or Sagunatva, attribute of being beyond or within the material nature. Only Sri Vishnu and not Shiva, he meets this criteria because Shiva is affected by Tamoguna. Now, please remember that this either Brahma or Shiva, they are very, very great exalted personalities. Brahma, even though he is a Jiva, he is very exalted. And how many qualities he has got out of the 64 qualities? The Jivas, they have got 50 qualities, very minutely, the minute portion of these qualities they have got. But Shiva and Brahma, they have got 55 qualities, and Narayana, 60 qualities, and Krishna, 64 qualities. This we know. That's why they are in a much, much higher stage than anybody else. That's why we as jivas, we should never try to compare ourselves with Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma. And this is very, very important for us to understand. Now, I'll repeat some of the things so that you retain them. We should remember that one who is totally free from material desires, the subject of who is the worshipable Supreme Lord and who is not to be worshipped, that is what is given here. And here, after carefully deliberating upon the nirgunatva or the sagunatva, that is attribute of being beyond material nature or with material nature, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in this regard, Kapil Muni, he is telling his mother Devahuti that despite being offered the various kinds of liberation, the living on the same planet as me, like the Salukya, Sarshti, Samipya, Sarupya, Ekatva, Sayujya, my devotees do not accept anything from them because they want to render eternal service toward me. They accept only transcendental loving service. And those who worship the demigods and the goddesses are materially motivated, and their reward is also insignificant, temporary, and they ultimately result in suffering only. Indeed, it is necessary for such motivated worshippers to remember that although the demigods and goddesses who are materially covered are easily pleased, thus they bestow material wealth and opulence upon the worshipper. As soon as there is slight discrepancy in that worship, they curse them also. So this has to be understood by us. Well, let us go on to the next slide. Okay. Next, let us have a small break of 5 minutes. Then we'll start with the balance of the class. Hare Krishna. 1 minute left. Thirty seconds left. Welcome back. Now we'll start from where we left. Just 1 second. Now this is a very important slide. We'll understand what is given in this. Sometimes a living entity invested with potency of Bhagavan becomes Shiva. Now, earlier we have said Shiva is neither a Jiva Tattva or he is a Vishnu Tattva. But in certain kalpas, a living entity also is invested with the potency of Bhagavan and he becomes Shiva. That means Jiva becomes a Shiva. As we know, Brahma is a Jiva and in that kalpa, Shiva also becomes a Jiva. And please also remember another thing given in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. In certain kalpas, the Supreme Lord himself becomes Brahma also. That means in all the kalpas, every time, Brahma is also not a Jiva. So all these things to be understood while understanding this Nama Prada. Now let us go through this systematically so that we understand what is the Nama Prada. Now, first about the independent sentient beings or Iswara, Chaitanya. Now, Krishna, Vishnu and Narayana Tattvas are beyond Maya. Maya cannot touch them. Rather, Maya is under them only. And from Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that Maya stands behind them, not in front of them also. They are totally beyond Maya. But Shiva Tattva, who willingly accepts ignorance for Leela. Now, in Shiva Tattva, what is happening? The Tamoguna is accepted because that is required for Leela purposes. And what is the job of Shiva? The job of Shiva is also creation, also destruction. When the end of the Brahma's period comes, that time the whole universe is destroyed by Lord Shiva. That is what it is. Now we learned about the independent sentient beings, and that is the Iswara Chaitanya. Now let us learn about the dependent sentient beings or the Jiva Tattva. Now those Jiva Tattvas not covered by ignorance but invested with the Lord's creative potency, we learned one of them is Brahma only. Now, a Jiva who becomes a Brahma, what is the qualification for becoming Brahma? A Jiva who properly executes his occupational duty within the Varnasrama Dharma system for 100 births without fruitive desires become qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. Now, this is what is the qualification to become Brahma. A Jiva to become Brahma for 100 births, he has to follow the Varnasrama Dharma as given in the Shastra and he should have no material desires at all. Then he becomes Brahma. And in that age, in which there is no such qualified Jiva, Sri Hari personally takes the post of Gunavatara and becomes Brahma and performing the work of creation. He is then called Hiranyagarbha Brahma. When Lord Hari, he becomes Brahma, he is known as Hiranyagarbha Brahma, or that Brahma who is in the category of Iswara. This has to be understood. That means in certain kalpas, Brahma is a Iswara Tattva also, and in other kalpas, he is a Jiva Tattva also. Now let us learn about Shiva also. Like Shiva, we already know that he is neither a Jiva Tattva nor a Vishnu Tattva. But in certain lifetimes of Brahma, certain Mahakalpas, a Satyavesa Avatara attains the attributes of Shiva. That is, just as Lord Brahma is classed as Jiva, Lord Shiva is sometimes classed as Jiva also. This also happens. That's why it is given in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita that just like Brahma, Shiva is also sometimes Jiva Tattva. Now we'll see this, we'll learn about this in slightly greater detail. Now please remember that I'll repeat most of the things so that it is understood properly, because this concept is very, very important for us to understand the position of Lord Brahma and Shiva vis-a-vis Vishnu. Now the difference between Vishnu and Brahma lies in the distinct type of sentience, what we spoke. The sentience of an independent controller, Isvara Chaitanya, and the sentience of a dependent entity, Jiva Chaitanya. Now what we have learned so far, that Shiva is a Isvara Chaitanya and Brahma is Jiva Chaitanya. Now in some places, Puranic statements highlight the non-difference between Vishnu and Brahma. But it is to be understood that this is like the non-difference between the sun and the Suryakanta Mani, a gemstone imbued with the potency of the sun. There is difference. Thus, that is just as Lord Brahma is classed as Jiva, that is a minute spirit soul, Lord Shiva is also sometimes classed as Jiva, and in Haribhakti Vilasa by Sanatana Goswami, it is said that anyone who sees the best of living beings, Sri Narayana, to be the same as Rudra or Brahma is certainly an atheist. Now this statement can be reconciled by considering Rudra to have the same characteristic as Brahma. Now the second Namaparadha, what we learned, that those who see a difference between the names, forms, qualities and pastimes of Lord Vishnu and those of Lord Shiva are offenders to the holy name. And it is given in Haribhakti Vilasa that one who considers Brahma and Rudra or Shiva to be on an equal level with Lord Narayana is certainly an atheist. Now regarding Lord Vishnu and Shiva as different from each other constitutes an offense to the holy name. But one who regards them as identical also becomes an atheist. Now, these scriptural statements, they appear contradictory. That's why it has to be reconciled. That means it can be interpreted in both ways, but we have to understand them in the correct perspective on the basis of what we have discussed so far in today's lesson. But please understand that these statements refer to the fault of regarding them, that the form of Shiva, who is in the category of Iswara, as different from Vishnu, or the fault of regarding that form of Shiva, who is in the category of a Jiva, as non-different from Vishnu. In the same way, although Brahma generally belongs to the category of Jiva, scriptures mention that sometimes an expansion of Hari also becomes assume the post of Brahma. I hope I have made it very, very clear. That means by understanding that the statements, they refer to the fault of regarding that the Shiva, who is in the category of Iswara, he is none different from Vishnu. And the Shiva, who is a Jiva Tattva, in certain kalpas, if you consider him to be same as Vishnu, then it becomes a aparadha. It has to be understood that way. Now, as we learned at the beginning of creation, a qualified jiva, he manifests from the lotus navel of Gorvadaksai Vishnu and occupies the post of Brahma. And the Lord invests him with all the potency of creation. And in that age or kalpa, in which there is no such qualified jiva, Sri Hari personally takes the post of Gunavatar, becoming Brahma, and he performs the work of creation. Then he is the same as Vishnu only, and he is known as Hiranyagarbha Brahma, or that Brahma who is in the category of Ishwar. That means in certain kalpas, Brahma also becomes a Ishvara Tattva, and in other kalpas, he also becomes a Jiva Tattva. Like this, Shiva also, in some kalpas, he is a Ishvara Tattva, and in some kalpas, he is Jiva Tattva. When he is Jiva Tattva, one should not consider him to be the same as Narayana or Vishnu. And when he is Ishvara Tattva, one should not find any difference between Vishnu and him. This has to be understood very, very clearly. Now, let us go on to the next slide. Now, here it says that the confusing the position of Lord Shiva and Vishnu, the second offense to the holy name, what we are discussing. Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva are none different. Indeed, Brahma can never be attained by the mind, words, eyes, or any other sense organ. How can Brahma be understood? In answer, it is given that Brahma can be understood by keeping the close association of saints who are faithful. It is given in the Kathopanishad. And in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita also, the Lord tells Arjuna that a person who is conversant with spiritual reality will enlighten you with knowledge of Brahma.
Tatviti pranipatena.
Mataji, what are you saying?
Sorry, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now, the real atonement for this aparadha is remorse. If one performs Nama Sankirtana with repentance, taking shelter exclusively of Harinama, this offense may be eradicated. Now we learnt about the second offense to the holy name. Earlier we have learnt about the other offenses. Now how this aparadha is to be atoned, now one should be remorseful. One should feel that he has done a blunder, one has done a mistake, and he should keep on doing Nama Sankirtana, repenting always, and exclusively take shelter of the Harinama. Then only this offense may be eradicated. Like most of these, rather all of these offenses, if somebody has committed any offense, or if somebody gets an indication that some aparadha has been created, and that's why he is having problems, then one can be remorseful and pray to the Supreme Lord, take shelter of the holy name, and does Nam Sankirtana, then one will be able to clear this or burn this great offense. As we know, these offenses are very, very severe in nature. They are much more severe than the sins. Sins of any sin that can be removed very, very easily, burned very easily. This we will be learning in the separate classes, what is the sequence of removal. And at that time you will realize that to nullify an aparadha, it is a very formidable task, very great the effort is required. Whereas for the sins, it is quite easy. Now let us go on to the next slide. Now, without thoroughly reflecting on the spiritual truths that have been described thus far, some persons could wrangle as follows. Now, we have learned so many things, and then one can say any of these statements. What is this? What are the statements? Sri Vishnu is Supreme Lord, not Lord Shiva. The second is Lord Shiva is Supreme, but not Vishnu. This also many people say, you would have heard also. And the third thing, we are one-pointed worshippers of Sri Vishnu and will not even glance at Lord Shiva. And the others may say, we are one-pointed worshippers of Lord Shiva and will not even look at Lord Vishnu. That means one is making a difference between Vishnu and Shiva. And please remember the guideline. We have to respect Vishnu, Vishnu also, Shiva also, or all the demigods also. We have to respect them. There is no difference. But at the same time, we have to worship Lord Vishnu. That's what we have learned. One whose intelligence is engrossed in debate in this way only makes offenses to the holy name. One will get involved in the second aparadha, second namaparadha, if he keeps on thinking like this: Vishnu is supreme, Shiva is not supreme. Shiva is supreme, Vishnu is not supreme. I'll worship Vishnu, I'll not worship Shiva. I'll worship Shiva, I'll not worship Vishnu, like this. If somebody does this, then he only commits aparadha only and nothing else. And by the ordinance of Bhagavan, such an offender may obtain the association of exalted saintly person who is conversant with all spiritual truths. But what happens if the Lord is happy, if he were sincere, then one will certainly have sadhu sangha, association of an exalted saintly personality, and then what will happen? He becomes enlightened on this topic and he will develop faith that the Swarupa of Lord Shiva is none different from that of Vishnu. This has to be understood very, very clear. It is non-different. But who is to be worshipped? Lord Vishnu is to be worshipped. Because worshipping Lord Vishnu, Shiva is automatically worshipped. All the demigods are automatically worshipped. Now, following this exclusively through Nam Sankirtana, he becomes free from the above mentioned offense to the holy name. Now, this is very, very important. This is so important that let me just say it in different words. Now, earlier we have seen that this aparadha is an act of displeasing one's worshipable deity. Now, when the worshippers of Vishnu and those of Shiva, they speculate about the difference between their lords, worshipable lords, Vishnu and Shiva, these lords become displeased. Both Lord Shiva and Vishnu, they will get displeased. And in such a case, will a person be pleased by a servant who attends to one limb while piercing or giving pain to the other limb? And now, the Mahadev or Shiva is indeed a part of Vishnu only, and to consider him to be different from Vishnu is invariably will lead to an aparadha. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains how this can be mitigated, how this aparadha can be mitigated. Now, he says that the lack of knowledge of Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva, it is the root cause of this aparadha. That's why we have to understand the Vishnu Tattva, we have to understand the Shiva Tattva also. And what is the Vishnu Tattva? Vishnu Tattva is totally beyond the realm of Maya. And Shiva Tattva, it is also almost equal to Vishnu Tattva, but Shiva is accepting Maya because of Leela purposes. And that's why he is not a Vishnu Tattva, he is not a Shiva Tattva, he is not a Jiva Tattva. But as we said earlier, in certain kalpas, Shiva also is the exalted personality Jiva, he is also given this post of Shiva. Now, as long as one is devoid of proper knowledge, this aparadha, that is the second aparadha, it cannot be nullified. But if a person committing this offense is fortunate to receive the association of a realized saint, Sadhu Sangha, who is well versed in the actual truths regarding Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva, then he will have the true realization of the spiritual reality. And he will then understand that Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva are non-different. And this is because true knowledge of the nature of the Lord is possible only through the association of the and the mercy of the sadhus only, and not by studying or reading any literature. This has to be understood very, very clearly. And with this, let us go on to the fourth offense. Now, what is the fourth offense? Now, blasphemy of the revealed Vedic literature, the fourth offense to the holy name. Now, it is impossible for devotees who have taken shelter of the path of bhakti and who have faith in Shastra to blaspheme Shastras about the path of bhakti. Nonetheless, there is a chance that they may blaspheme the Shrutis that promote the paths of karma and jnana. In this way, they commit the fourth offense to the holy name. That means any of the Vedas, Puranas, all these revealed scriptures, if somebody blasphemes them, says, you would have heard many people saying that they are the figment of imagination of some people. They are just like stories which have been told. These are great aparadhas. Now, the second thing is, the Jnani's goal is Brahma Sayurja Mukti, which is devoid of variety. However, when they associate with a pure devotee, they become enchanted with the variegated nature of Bhagavan realization. And this is the indirect intention of Jnana-based Shrutis. And so are the intentions of the karma-based Shrutis. Now, if you go through them very minutely, you learn that these karmis or the jnanis, ultimately they have take recourse of this path of bhakti only to get success in jnana or the karma, otherwise not. Now, next, the third thing, they understand the results of karma are actually the source of misery. Eventually, by the mercy of a sadhu, they will become blessed and take shelter of the path of bhakti. For this reason, blasphemy of this most merciful Shrutis constitute an aparadha. This is the reason why these Shruti Shastras and these revealed scriptures, they are so important and we should accept them as it is. If we find contradictions, we should understand that we have not understood and go to a proper person, an acharya or a senior devotee, he will explain. There is fault in understanding. That's why they seem contradictory, not otherwise. Like today you saw, Shiva can become a Jiva also. And there is difference between a Jiva Tattva and a Ishvara Tattva. Now, if somebody does not have this knowledge, then he will get confused. There is no requirement to get confused only. There is requirement to understand these things in the correct perspective. Now, then the next thing is by Sadhu Sangha, the devotees to understand the actual intention of the Shrutis and must glorify them, which they blasphemed those previously. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the causes of the remaining 6 types of aparadha to the holy name and the means to mitigate them are to be understood in the same way described for the first 4 aparadhas. The 4 aparadhas we learned are first is to blaspheme the saintly devotees, Vaishnava aparadha, to consider Lord Shiva's name, form, and so forth as independent of those three Vishnu that we learned today, to disobey the spiritual master, we learned the other day in our previous class, and to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures. He then explains the causes of the aparadha, that is from 5 to 10. Now we'll see them in slightly greater detail. And this thing also, I hope I have made the things very clear. Here coming to the sadhu sangha, by the immense good fortune of somebody, some offender to the Vedic literature, if he obtains the association of a devotee, sadhu sangha, then the offenders can understand that supremely compassionate Shrutis are meant for the wayward people only, and for the for our progress in the path of bhakti. And the Shrutis endeavor to bring such people on the path of this the sanctioned by the scriptures. And with this understanding, the aparadha arising from such blasphemy is eradicated by the appropriate efforts. Efforts we have seen. One should have remorse, and one should take shelter of the Harinama and should chant the name of the Lord. Now, this is very, very important, and this has to be understood. And initially in the first aparadha, we have seen the Vaishnava aparadha to blaspheme the saintly devotees, and that should not be committed by anybody else. That is very, very important. Then let us know the other aparadhas also. Now we have seen 5 of them, 4 of them. Let us in very brief see the another 6 of them. Now they consider the glories of the holy name to be an exaggeration is the 5th aparadha. Now the Harinama, the glories of Harinama, they are given in the many shastras, and to regard these glories to be a mere praise is to consider the glories of the holy name to be exaggerated. Now the scriptures and the holy saints, the acharyas, they proclaim that whatever may be said about the glories of Sri Harinama cannot amount to even a drop of the ocean of the Harinama's glories. Now to think that Shastra's glorification of the holy name is meant for the general public, and so to arouse an interest in Nama constitutes a great aparadha of considering the glories of the holy name to be exaggerated. Arthavada. We have to be very, very careful about this. No one is capable of fully describing the glories of the holy name. So there is no reason to conjecture that the Shastra's descriptions of these glories are an exaggeration. It is because a person lacks the association of an exalted devotee, exalted personality who properly understands the glories of the holy name, that he commits the offense of considering these glories to be merely imaginary. And if that offender gets the association of saintly devotees who are devoted to chanting the holy name, and if he hears the Harinama from his mouth, his contaminated mind will be totally purified and he will be cleared of this offense. Now let us go on to the next aparadha. To think that the holy name of the Lord are imaginary, that is the 6th aparadha. Now the Mayavadis and the materialistic followers of karma, that is those who practice karma kanda, they consider the supreme truth to be impersonal Brahma, devoid of any potency, form, or a name. And those who think that the great rishis have fabricated some names like Rama and Krishna just to serve their own purpose, these are the offenders to the Harinama. Harinama is not imaginary. It is eternal, it is spiritual, it has been existing from time immemorial, and it will exist till time immemorial also. This has to be understood. Now let us know about the 7th aparadha. Now to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name is the seventh aparadha. This also we have discussed earlier. And by the performance of Sankirtana, Nam Sankirtana, all types of obstacles and anarthas are dissipated. But if someone utters Harinama and repeatedly performs sinful activities on the strength of their chanting, their problems and their obstacles will not be dispelled. Rather, a most fearful aparadha will be committed. The holy name is composed of Suddha Sattva, pure transcendental goodness. It is not even material goodness, it is much higher than that. And uttering Harinama with faith will dispel all the obstacles and all the impediments caused by weakness of the heart, Hridaya Darlabhya, and one will not be inclined to commit any sinful act. Rather, the desire to sin, desire to commit sin, and even ignorance will be totally removed. If a devotee, due to previous impressions, that is the sanskaras which are there, inadvertently commits a sinful act, there is no need for him to atone for it. Rather, Sri Hari, who is present in our heart as Paramatma, will remove that sin automatically. Someone may think Harinama purifies one of all sins, so there is no harm if I commit sin. My chanting of Sri Hari's sacred name will remove my sin. Repeatedly committing sinful acts on the strength of holy name becomes Namaprada. Now the offender should repent and he should take shelter of the holy name, and then he will be freed from this aparadha. Now we will go on to the next aparadha, that is the eighth aparadha, to consider religiosity, the vows, various vows, the offering of oblations into the fire sacrifice, and the other ordinary pious activities to be equivalent to chanting of the holy name. This is the eighth aparadha. Now all our acharyas, Goswamis have said, and it has been written in all the Smrutis, other scriptures, that there is no difference between the name Nama and Nami. Krishna and his name, they are none different. And the holy name is the direct manifestation of Sri Hari in the form of words only, and is therefore not accessible to the material senses. Now the holy name is self-manifesting. When the practitioner becomes inclined to utter Harinama, it will directly manifest on his tongue. And that means when we are chanting the name of the Lord wants us to chant. I don't know if you would have seen some people who are not even able to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. They will not be able to utter the names. That also happens. But if we are able to chant the name of the Lord, we should be very thankful to him. Then let us go on to the ninth aparadha, giving instructions on the chanting of the holy name to the unfaithful, to the faithless persons constitutes the ninth aparadha. Now only those who have faith in the holy name are truly qualified to chant the holy name. If one gives instructions of the holy name to the faithless persons, they will neglect it. And the names of Sri Krishna are everything, the sole treasure for all the souls. If given to the faithless, then they will not appropriately honor the priceless jewel of Harinama, but will fully neglect and reject it. And this aparadha will ruin them and render the spiritual master who instructed them on the holy name to become an offender also. So this has to be understood by everybody.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, sorry. Prabhu, are you on slide 12 or 11 only, Prabhu?
I am on 11. 11th actually the last slide.
The last slide, okay.
Yeah.
Because you are as you're explaining 5 to 10 offenses, so I thought maybe there's another slide.
Because they are not given in the slides.
Okay, sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay, we are then we go on to the 10th aparadha, that is to have developed no affection for the holy name of the Lord even after hearing the unlimited glories, like we have heard the glories of the holy name, we have heard about the aparadha, but still then if we are not devoted, then that becomes the 10th aparadha. Some persons, despite hearing the glories of Harinama, still regard our body, which is totally perishable, to be their identity, and the objects related to the body to be their own. Then this false ego remains in the heart of that person, and he is affected by this 10th aparadha. Therefore, we should forget about that, and we should be totally devoted to the holy name of the Supreme Lord, and that is how we will be able to clear all the offenses. And now till now we have discussed about the 10 offenses and how to eradicate them also. This is very, very important. And in 15 and 16 also we'll see many other things. Then because 11 to 16 they comprise this aparadha subject, and till today we have seen the major portion, and in the next two classes, that is tomorrow and day after, that is the Indian time, we will be able to learn the other things, and we learn how to get rid of these aparadhas. I hope I have been able to put forward all these points. Before ending, I must reply to Radha Vinod Prabhuji. He had asked a question last time. The question was, in a day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus, and each Manu serves for 71 Chaturi Yugas, that becomes a Manvantara. Now, he was saying he has heard somewhere, if Lord Shiva also becomes, takes the position of a Manu. I have gone through the Laghu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami. I have not been able to find this thing anywhere. And in case somebody finds it anywhere, please tell me. Otherwise, not. But in very brief, we should remember that all these personalities, Brahma, Shiva, Manu, or the Saptarshis, all these personalities, they are very exalted personalities, and by the grace of the Supreme Lord only, they come to this world to relieve or to guide people like us only. They are very, very great. And we have learned that Shiva is not an ordinary being like us. Like Shiva and Brahma, they do not take birth from mothers. They take birth from the Supreme Lord themselves. That's why they are in a much higher position. They are actually not affected by Maya also. But Lord Shiva, he accepts Maya because he has to take part in the Leela of the Supreme Lord. Now, you may ask one question, if Brahma also is not affected by Maya, then how in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, which is given in the Bhagavatam, how he got carried away, how he thought that Krishna is just an ordinary child, and he tried to test him. Now, these things happen because of because Krishna wants this Leela. Because through this Leela, he is teaching us many things. It is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are reading it and we are learning from it. So that is the only reason. He is not affected by Maya at all. And he is not an ordinary being like us, ordinary jiva like us. He is a very, very special being. He has been created by Lord Vishnu himself for for creation of the secondary world, and that is his role, and he is doing it so perfectly. That's why this Lord's creation is running so perfectly, and we are nowhere, not any match to him. This has to be understood. they are very, very great personalities. And as we learned today, he also becomes a Ishvara Chaitanya also in some kalpas. So they are at a very, very higher level. So with this, I come to an end of today's class. I hope I have been able to put forward what are the position of Shiva, and it has been understood. If there are any comments or any questions, please come forward. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'll just start with because you started answer. Thank you for that. Prabhuji, just I have two quick questions. The first question is that because we are talking about Shiva is like Krishna, non-different and different. You gave Ishvara, Ishwar Koti Shiva, or you say Hiran Garbha Shiva, in that form. If that is there, so Lord Shiva, it's Krishna himself expands, so then they are equal. If it's not, then that's not equal. That's what we could understand from here. So I have a simple one question. The current Brahma, we know Jiva Koti Brahma. Current. That's what my understanding. Prabhuji, correct it if I'm wrong there also. But is the Shiva also Jiva Koti or either?
Okay, I'll just repeat it. Brahma is a Jiva only. Like I said, if somebody, some Jiva like us, he is able to follow the Varnasrama Dharma for 100 births without any desires, then he can be promoted to the post of Brahma.
Yes.
What happens in some kalpas, such qualified persons are not available. That's why Lord Hari, he takes the position of Brahma. That is regarding Brahma. And what about Shiva? Shiva is not a Jiva Tattva. Shiva is not a Vishnu Tattva. But he is created by the Supreme Lord. How? Like in the Priyat in Srimad Bhagavatam also given, also in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, just I read out some the meaning of some verses. How he comes through? He comes from from Brahma only in some kalpas. He comes from Lord Vishnu in some kalpas. He comes from Sankarsana also in some kalpas. But what happens in some kalpas, the Lord also appoints a Jiva and Shiva also. But he does not become Shiva Tattva that time. He still remains a Jiva Tattva like Brahma only. So that is what is to be understood by us. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you made that clear. But my question is that, again, these queries can come out the offense. So my understanding is that current Brahma in this Kalpa, as we know, is a Jiva Koti Brahma. That's my understanding. So
Yes.
again, do we know the Shiva also is in this Kalpa? I'm talking about specific this Kalpa as we are here.
Okay, as I read Lagu Bhagavatamrita about our kalpa, that is what is the date? We are in the 51st year of Brahma, and in the 51st year, this is the first day. In a day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus, and each Manu, there are 71 Chaturyugas.
Yes.
Now, present Manu is the 7th Manu, and this is the 28th Chaturyuga. Now, this is what it is. But regarding what you are saying, whether this Shiva is a Jiva Tattva or he is a Shiva Tattva, that is not given here. That means we should accept him to be a Shiva Tattva only.
Okay.
Or maybe what is happening, actually this Vedic literature, these Puranas, what we are learning from Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas, these Puranas actually they contain a billion verses. But in this Kali Yuga, our intelligence is so depleted, we will not be able to understand. That's why Vyasadeva has given only a small portion. And from that, whatever we can learn, whatever we can make out, that as per my understanding, I have told you, because I have not come across any literature where the contrary is given. That's why let us believe this. And Brahma also, please remember that Brahma, there are also many types, there are many Brahmas also, because there are many the universes, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is given how once our Brahma, what happened, time is there. Okay, I'll tell this small story. Everybody may be knowing, or somebody might have forgotten. What happened once, our Brahma, that is the four-headed Brahma, he went to Dwarka to meet Krishna. Now, the sentry who was there, Dwarpal, he told him, tell that Brahma has come. Now he went and told Brahma has come. He said, which Brahma? Now, when he asked which Brahma, our Brahma, the four-headed Brahma, he thought he must not be in good mood today. He is not able to make out who is Brahma. I am the only Brahma in this universe. Now, then he told the Dwarpal that Sanak, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Chatus Kumara, they are my sons. Then he went and told Vishnu, that is Krishna, and he told him, okay, you allow him to come. He came prostrated before him, and he was standing with folded hands. Then Brahma saw another person looking like Brahma only, with 8 heads coming. And after that, another 16-headed Brahma came, 32-headed, 64-headed, 100-headed, 1,000-headed, million-headed Brahma, like this, they kept on coming. Then what happened? Then the Shiva came. Then Shiva also, Shiva came. Then the 5-headed, 10-headed, like this, million, billion-headed the Shivas, they also came. And that time our Brahma could realize that how small he is looking in front of these big Brahman. That means what universe we are saying, our scientists have not been able to go to the end of this our present universe. How small it is, we actually, with our intelligence, we cannot make out how big is this universe. And more than that, we will not be able to think of how great is Krishna, who is managing all the affairs of all these millions, billions, and rather countless universes, and they are running perfectly. There is no imperfection in them. He is that capable. We have to remember this. This is what we have to learn about Brahma and Shiva. We have to remember only one thing, that they are very, very exalted personalities, and we should obey them, and we should obey the Shastras, what is given in the Shastras. I hope I have...
Yeah, Prabhuji, thank you very much. So, Prabhuji, just I have maybe, because others will have questions.
Ask. We have got enough time.
Okay, so yeah, Prabhuji, you mentioned that Jnanis. So there are 2 ways. One is merging into Brahman effulgence. That was my understanding so far. Another is merging into the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. So these are the 2. That means there are 2 Jnanis, as we understand. So one Jnani is merged with the Brahman effulgence, another merged with the Lord, but in both the cases they lose their identity. Is that true?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, but so how you understand merging with the Lord's body and merging with the Brahman effulgence? So, do we have any example, or how to see that which Jnanis goes to Brahman effulgence and which Jnanis goes to body of the Lord?
Okay, like all these demons which are killed, they go to the Brahman effulgence. Now, if some Jnani, he wants to merge with this Lord only and not in his effulgence, that also can happen. Now, please remember that those who merge in the Brahman effulgence, they still there is a chance for them to again come back to this material world also. That chance is there. But anyone who merges with the Lord means what? It does not mean that in the super soul, this Jiva soul, you will merge. No, that will not happen. The Jiva soul will remain always different, separate. Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, because for eternal times, eternally, the individual soul is different from that. But that is what is the desire of that Jnani. And if that happens, that is, it is said, you saw in the slide that it is more damaging because he is totally losing that individuality and he does not have any chance to serve. So that has to be understood in that way, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but Prabhuji, in both the cases, Brahman effulgence and merging, both have no chance to serve the Lord. That is true, right? Both the cases, they have no service to Lord. Second thing, merging, sometimes we say the example is given, so in a tree, green tree, the green parrot enters and just disappears. Srila Prabhupada gives that example someplace like, so you also mentioned that they don't lose the identity. The individual soul will remain there as an individual, but the Jiva thinks that he doesn't have any further identity. That is the Jiva's understanding. Is that correct? But it doesn't actually happen.
Yes, like very many people, like I'll tell you, in our place, in our childhood, we also had heard from various people that at the end you merge with the Lord and all that, and later on one learned that these are all bogus concepts. They are not true as per the Shastra. Many people, they believe that, especially the Mayavadis, the Shankaracharya's followers, they think that Shankaracharya, he knew the truth. Shankaracharya is Lord Shiva only, he knew, but his followers, they believe this. And that is a totally wrong concept. It is not correct at all. We can never be equal or merge with the Lord, because this individual soul and the super soul, they are totally different and different from eternity. And in no times to come, they will ever merge together. Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loka. The Lord has said very, very clearly, there is no ambiguity, but they interpret in many ways, given taking certain portions of certain of the Srutis, the Upanishads, but they are not correct at all. Lalit Priya Mataji wanted to ask something.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. I hope I have been able to answer. Charu Prabhuji is not here, otherwise he would have answered it better than me. Lalit Priya Mataji, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. Prabhuji, I had doubts on slide number 3 and slide number 8. Is it possible for you to bring it up on the screen, Prabhuji?
Which slide?
I forgot what it was.
Slide number 3, you said.
Yes, Prabhuji. And then slide number 8.
3 and 8. Okay.
This is showing slide number 11, I guess. So.
Okay, I'll just.
It was related to Shiva Tattva on slide number 3 and also on slide number 8.
Yes, so this is 3. Yeah, this is okay. 11 has come. Yeah, this is 3.
Yes, Prabhuji. So here on 3I, it says that although Sri Vishnu and Shiva are non-different, only Sri Vishnu is to be worshipped, and 3H, the two types of living entities invested with the potency of Bhagavan. So, and you also mentioned that in different kalpas, a jiva, after so much pious activities, can become Shiva. And that is, so when the jiva becomes Shiva, it's no more Shiva Tattva, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, that is very correct.
And so then Sadashiva is always Shiva Tattva. Sadashiva is always Shiva Tattva, and he doesn't have like when the
One second, Mataji. Sadashiva is always Vishnu Tattva.
is always Vishnu Tattva. So he's always existing.
Shiva has come from Sadashiva only.
Yes, Prabhuji. So Sadashiva is always existing, and he never has any distraction, or he never goes away. So
Yes.
in that case, Sadashiv is not in Tamogun, right?
Sadashiva is not touched by Tamoguna or Maya. He is
Okay.
like Narayana or the other Garbhodaksai Vishnu, Karandaksai Vishnu, like this. He is totally transcendental to Maya because he is located in the spiritual world only, whereas
Correct,
Shiva
Prabhuji.
is located in the material world.
Correct, Prabhuji. So on 3I, when it says, although Sri Vishnu and Shiva are non-different, only Sri Vishnu is to be worshipped. Isn't Sadashiva an expansion of Lord Krishna, because he's coming, because he's always existing, is all in the Vaikuntha Lok, and he doesn't have distraction. He's non-different. So when it says Shiva, is it referring to Sadashiv or only Shiva?
No, Shiva and Sadashiva are different. Shiva is different. Shiva is coming from Sadashiva only. Sadashiva is Vishnu Tattva. Sadashiva is worshipped with Tulasi leaves, but not Shiva. And
Correct, Prabhuji. So how do we know, so like, in any kalpa, a jiva also becomes Shiva, because there is Ishvara, what do you call, Chaitanya and Jiva Chaitanya. You were mentioning that. So
Yeah.
we do not know in which kalpa a jiva becomes a Shiva. When a jiva becomes a Shiva, he is still a Jiva Tattva, he's not Shiva Tattva.
Yes. Like what we said, Shiva is not either Jiva Tattva nor Vishnu Tattva, but in that kalpa in which Jiva becomes Shiva, he is a Jiva Tattva only. And in that, you cannot say that he is Iswara. He is not Iswara in that kalpa. But which kalpas, that I do not know. It is not given in any of these books.
That is, that I understand, Prabhuji. That is complicated even to know from so many kalpas and things like that. But when we go to Vraj or any Dham, it is said that our parikrama is incomplete without visiting Gopeshwar Mahadev.
Yes.
And we go and we pay our obeisances or worship. So it said that not to worship Shiva. So he is Sadashiv then, Gopeshwar Mahadev?
No, you see, he is Shiva only. Sadashiv, the Shiva, that is Gopeshwar Mahadev. What is he? Gopeshwar Mahadev, he took part in the Leela of Krishna. He became a gopi, and that's why he is worshipped as Sadashiva, and he is a Kshetrapal of Vrindavan. That's how he is worshipped. He is not Sadashiva. Sadashiva is totally different. He is Shiva, but since he took part in the Leela of Krishna, it is said that you should visit him. And now there is therefore difference between Shiva and Sadashiva. Now some faiths, I will not discuss about them. They talk of Sadashiva, but they confuse with Shiva also. I will not talk about them because that will again confuse you. And this has to be understood this way, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. So we should not disrespect. At the same time, we should not individually worship Shivji.
Yes, there is what is said that we should not worship. It is not written. It is said that there is no requirement to worship.
Okay, okay. It's not mandatory to worship. It's not compulsory to worship.
Because once we worship Krishna, all the demigods are within him and they are worshipped. They do not want any separate worship for themselves.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So
And
that understood that way.
yes,
And
Prabhuji.
another thing, suppose so somebody may ask, anything which has been offered to Brahma or Shiva, should you eat them? To any demigod, should you eat them? He is
Yes.
also considered as a demigod.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please remember, like Brahma, so there is only one temple in Brahma in the whole world, and Shiva temples there are many. Now please remember that we are told as Vaishnavas we should not partake any prasad offered to Shiva or Brahma, but there is an exception. What is the exception? Like in Bhubaneswar, there is one Lingaraj temple. He
Yes,
is
Prabhuji.
also Shiva. But in the Shastra, it is given that you can take his prasad, not anybody else's.
Prabhuji, but I also have a doubt on this content. Thank you for reminding me. This was my another question also. Sorry. So regarding the prashadam, so I know that we should not partake. But when we even serve in our community congregation, we would we are told that you have to you should please the Vaishnavas, the exalted Vaishnavas, and Shiva is Parama Vaishnava, and when we please him, and then we take Maha. I mean, that which is offered to Krishna first, and then we offer to Shiva, and then we can have it, right, Prabhuji?
Yes. There is nothing wrong in that, because that is being offered to Vishnu or Krishna, then offered to others. That is perfectly all right. There is nothing wrong. But if it is specifically offered to Shiva, then that is the restriction we are talking of.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. If time permitted, if nobody has questions, then I'll ask the question from slide number 8, Prabhuji, if that can be displayed on the screen.
Okay.
I'll give chance to others, and if anybody else has got questions, please come up and I'll wait, and then I'll come back.
Any other question by anybody? Okay, there are no questions. I'll
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna.
तो प्रभु जी, आज हम जो हम सीखे हैं, शिव तत्व विष्णु तत्व दोनों समान है, एट अ टाइम दोनों अलग भी है, मगर हमारे प्रेजेंट सिचुएशन में जो है तो सब में इतनी फाइट क्यों है प्रभु जी? सब ये हमारे शिव जी बड़े हैं तो नहीं, हम ये हमारे बड़े हैं, तो हमारे कम्युनिटी में इतनी फाइट क्यों होती है प्रभु जी? शिवा और विष्णु के लेके बहुत फाइटिंग, मतलब विष्णु अगर जो है और वो शास्त्र को पढ़ते और ये समझते भी, फिर भी फाइट करते हैं, तो उसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं प्रभु जी?
You see, the things are very, very clear. In Krishna Sandarbha, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That means all have come from Krishna. But the Sri Sampradaya, you cannot make them accept this fact. They say Narayana is supreme. They worship Lakshmi Narayana like this. So these are the various faiths, like somebody follows the Shiva Purana. Now he will say that Shiva is the greatest. I will not worship anybody, I will worship Shiva only. So these are the various faiths, and this is actually the characteristic of Kali Yuga only. In Satya Yuga, only Vishnu is worshipped, nobody else. And the others, they come in later on, and here in Kali Yuga, there are so many gods, goddesses, even the human beings, they also become gods and goddesses. Like very many of them you would have seen, they claim to be gods and goddesses and land up in jail, and there are so many cases against them. This is the characteristic of Kali Yuga, and it is clearly given in the Srimad Bhagavatam 12th canto also. So we should not get involved in any of these arguments or fights by others. We should understand what has been told to us by our acharyas in the line, and that is what is the truth. I hope I have
थैंक यू प्रभु
answered.
जी, थैंक यू प्रभु जी। मगर प्रभु जी, अगर हम जो ये पढ़े हैं तो हम दूसरों को समझा सकते हैं ऐसा कि ये है परिस्थिति?
समझा सकते हैं, but if they are not in a position to understand, like the Saivites, those who worship Lord Shiva, they will never understand. If somebody wants to understand, then we can explain. There is no problem. But many people, they just take their own view to be correct, and they will not listen to any other shastra. It is not correct to make them understand. But amongst the Vaishnavas, yes, we can discuss. Things should be made clear to the people. This is what is the position. Lord Krishna or Vishnu is the greatest, and the all others, they are serving him only. And Lord Shiva, he is the number one Vaishnava, Vaishnavanand Yathasambhu. He is the greatest Vaishnava. It has to be understood that way.
Okay, Prabhuji. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other question or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice explanation and very nice discussion. That is, we know that Brahma originated from Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and where from Sadasiva originated?
Okay. Like Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam, so everybody has originated from Krishna only. All other beings, they have originated from Krishna only. That is Sadasiva, he has come from Krishna.
No, the first expansion was Balaram, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and Sankarsana. Before that, Sadasiva originated. That is my doubt.
No. The first expansion is Balarama only. There is no doubt about it. And from Balarama then came the other Vishnus, and from Balarama is what Sankarsana, and from him he has come. That means the original is Krishna, and Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam means all others have come after that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, this is slide number 8. Lalitpriya Mataji wanted to ask a question from this slide.
Yes, Prabhuji, I am just looking at it. Sorry. Yeah, it says Shiva is also Jiva Tattva. Okay.
Yes.
This is where I had
in some
doubt.
kalpas.
But still we don't know when Shiva is Jiva Tattva. So if that means even Shiva is Jiva Tattva, what happens? Sorry, Prabhuji, if I'm asking some silly question, please forgive me.
Not at all.
If Shiva is, classed as Lord Brahma is classified as a Jiva, Lord Shiva is sometimes classed as a Jiva also. So what happens to that Jiva who is empowered to become Brahma or Shiva? And that Jiva, they become Jiva Tattva. And what happens to the Jiva? The Jiva again comes down to earth. Bhumi mein unka janam hota hai after their role is executed.
Well, very nice question. You'll find in Srimad Bhagavatam it is very clearly given, though the general principle is that from all the lokas, the jivas, they come back and all that. But those who are in Brahmaloka, Brahma Satyaloka, they are transferred to the spiritual world automatically. That means the Brahma also goes to the spiritual world. He does not become a jiva like us and comes back and again he strives to reach that level. It does not happen that way. It is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Sorry for being a little bit silly and asking such questions.
No question is silly actually. And not that I'll be knowing the answers of all the questions. If I do not know, then I'll find out and try to answer that. Thank you very much. Now,
Thank you so much.
we have come to the
Hello.
end of time.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Very nice session, Prabhuji. I missed something. I wanted to know, we are Goswami, okay? We are worshippers of Lord Shiva. There's always a controversy that I changed my.
What you said, what is the controversy?
We are actually Goswami. I'm Goswami. And we worship Shiva temples. We are pujaris of Shiva temple.
I'm not understanding the question actually.
So I wanted to know that sometimes there's a difficulty. People say, I shifted to Krishna consciousness and all. Actually, I wanted to know. Today I understood whatever it is said and I got it.
Okay.
Sometimes there are in the society there is a problem with that I changed. It happens sometimes like that. Some people say you shifted to Krishna.
Yes, there is
Vaishnava. From Shivasta, you shifted to Krishna like this. So that was my I wanted to comment that.
Thank you. That means we have to understand these tattvas clearly so that there is no confusion in our mind.
Right.
Well, we have finished the time and now we'll end the class with the Nrsimha prayers. Raksha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam to all devotees.
Dandavat pranam.
Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlad Hiranyakashipurvakshaha Shilatankankhalaye Ito Narasimha Parato Narasimha Yato Yami Tato Narasimha Bahir Narasimha Hridaye Narasimha Narasimha Madhur Sharanam Pravate Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakha Adbhuta Shringar Dalita Hiranyakashipu Taluvringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Ho Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Narasimha Dev Jai Ho Narasimha Dev Jai Ho Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jai Ho Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय हो भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो चारु प्रभु की जय हो शरद प्रभु की जय हो असेंबल ऑल डिवोटीज की जय हो हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे थैंक यू प्रभु जी फॉर वंडरफुल क्लास Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tomorrow's class, actually, a lot of material is to be covered. Today it was a little less. Then we'll meet tomorrow morning for lesson 15. All glories to the assembled devotees. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Prabhuji. Dhanavad pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very
Thank you very much. Nice.
Dhanavad.
Thank you so much.